One of my favorite ones was something that we use every single day, and that's toothpaste. Yes, how the companies made it a habit for us to use toothpaste. Hello guys, this is your boy Ali Solanki, and today we'll be talking about some of the best books that I've ever come across and also give a small summary of each of them. Now, all of these books will mostly revolve around the business category or the financial category. So watch this video till the end because this list contains some of the most amazing books for you to read. Also, for each of these books, I'll be mentioning the best time to read it in your life. The first one that we have on the list is Rework, a very concise and to the point book from the founders of Basecamp itself. Now, when to read this book? Read it when you're about to start your own venture or a startup but don't know how to scale it up. This is an amazing book that reminds us that you don't need hundreds of employees in your company in order to be successful. There are some beautiful examples of startups, including Basecamp itself, which relied on people working remotely, automated a lot of workflows, and were able to scale their businesses and help people from all over the world. The next book that we have on the list is E-Myth Revisited. This is a book that you need to read when you find yourself working a lot on your startup and draining your energy without getting the results from it. It's one of those must-read business books that you just can't miss out on. It talks about how to grow your venture from being that small local business to taking it global. It focuses mainly on setting up systems for your business so that it does not depend on you or your time. It shows the most important distinction of working on the business rather than working in your business. This is especially useful for scaling your business up from a small startup to a large company or even a franchise. The next book that we have on the list is 0 to 1. This book has been written by Peter Thiel, one of the co-founders of PayPal itself. Read this book when you have a lot of startup ideas in mind but don't know what to pick. This book focuses mainly on becoming a monopoly in the market rather than competing with the other businesses. An amazing example of this can be seen with something like Nike and Adidas, both of which are cutthroat competitors of each other but lose out on making a lot of profit because of this competition. Whereas if you take Google for example, it is a monopoly in its respective market and can focus purely on growing and sustaining the business rather than having to spend time and money on competing with other similar companies. Even though this is quite a short book, it will have you highlight important points on every single page. This is yet again a concise and to the point book. The next book that we have on the list is Lean Startup. The idea of Lean Startup has been around for quite some time and many people in the business space have been practicing it. But the author has compiled it perfectly. You should read this book when you feel like you're not getting enough done in your startup and the results are getting delayed. This book focuses more on the build, measure, and learning feedback loop in order to grow a business rather than having everything perfectly laid down right from start. This book tells us that you should always adapt to the feedback given by your users, learn from them, and implement them as well. I use this principle for my YouTube channel as well. Rather than having a defined content plan, I tend to listen to my audience and learn from their feedback. If I didn't do this, then the video and the audio quality and the content in it wouldn't have progressed without getting the feedback from you guys. So thank you. The next book on the list is Power of Habits. Now, you might have gotten the idea about the book from its title itself, but it really dives deep into how habits form, how you can actually remove your bad habits and change them for good, and much more. You must read this book if you feel like you're procrastinating all the time and aren't able to build good habits. Apart from this, it also has some unique examples of how these habits were used to market products. One of my favorite ones was something that we use every single day, and that's toothpaste. Yes, how the companies made it a habit for us to use toothpaste. The next one on the list is Sapiens. You might have gotten it from the name itself, but Sapiens is not a business or a financial book. Rather, it's more to do with how you think about this world. It's actually quite a controversial book as well, but I would still recommend you to go through it once because it's quite an amazing book. I wouldn't say that there is a perfect time to read this. Also, it is written in simple English so anyone can understand it. Now, for this book, I went with listening to its audiobook, but don't make that mistake. I would highly recommend you to buy the book itself rather than reading it digitally or listening to its audiobook. The next book on the list is The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, to be honest, I've not completely read this book, but till now I can say that it's quite an interesting book that will have you hooked onto it. Now, I won't be giving a summary of it as I personally haven't completely read it, but what I can tell you till now is that it leaves you with these principles to become rich, which you might already know, but wouldn't realize how important they are, and it will also give you another perspective to look at them. The next book on the list is The Psychology of Money. Going by the title of the book itself, you can guess what it's about. If you want to learn about personal finance and how to save more and spend wisely, then you must read this book. To become rich, the first step is always to change the mindset. And this book is just for that. Reading this book will not only help you achieve your financial goals, but also think clearly about them. When to read this book? As early as possible. I wish I had the opportunity to read it earlier. The next book is Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the first personal finance books that I laid my hands on. Robert Kiyosaki has gotten the most complex things like taxes down in simple terms to help everyone understand it. Not only that, but this book goes into comparing two mindsets, the rich dad and the poor dad, to let you see how small changes in mindset lead to huge differences. The author is especially good with simplifying things down and keeping the reader engaged throughout the book. When to read this book? You must read it once you've started earning money and want to know about how to invest, how to save on taxes, and much more. The last book on the list is Intelligent Investor. Now, the list would have been incomplete without the mention of this book. Warren Buffett's all-time favorite book, with his thoughts echoing throughout the read. When to read this book? When you've just started investing in the stock market and want to get a direction into the long-term game. This book might not suit traders or people who continuously buy and sell stocks every other day. But someone like me who loves to get into the financials of the company, never invests in an IPO, and is here for the long haul must read this book. So this is it for my top picks, and if you want to know how to read all of these books completely for free, then subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you get notified when I upload that video next. Also, like and share this video if you're still watching.